Okay, it looks like we are live. So we are going to go ahead and get rolling. So, all right, welcome to today's first virtual presentation by the Southeast Tennessee Resource Conservation and Development Council. My name is Seth Schaefer. With me today, I have Chase Hicks, who is the District Conservationist with the Bradley County NRCS. And today, Chase is going to be talking about best management practices on farms. So, Chase, if you can take it away for us.
All right. Thanks, Seth. So, hopefully, let me get my computer screen set up. Is that coming through, Seth?
Yes, it is.
All right, good deal. Good afternoon, everyone. So, like Seth said, my name is Chase Hicks, and I am the District Conservationist here in Bradley County. I cover Bradley County and Polk County, Tennessee. And today I'm just going to go over a few, what NRCS is, some of the programs that we offer, and then some of the practices here at the end. So without wasting much more time, let's go ahead and dive right in. Like Seth said, I work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service. We are a part of USDA, and so we are a federal agency. So what does NRCS do? So we provide technical and financial assistance to implement conservation practices in a manner that promotes agriculture production, forest management, and wildlife management. There's two types of assistance that we provide. We provide technical assistance and financial assistance. So, technical assistance, what is it, and who do you contact to get it? So, locally, I'm the district conservationist. I currently have a soil conservationist position that is vacant. So people call the office, you can either talk to me or the soil conservationist, who hopefully this job will be filled somewhere around the end of October. That's what I have been told. So, but for now, people in Bradley and Polk County, you can call the office and talk to me, and we'll go from there. Within technical assistance, we have all of these specialists available. We have biologists on staff, and these are people who cover East Tennessee. We have biologists, we have an engineering staff, we have a soil scientist, and inside each one of those, we have got, as you can see, some different positions. We have a TWRA biologist, an NRCS biologist, and we also have a forester. For the engineering staff, our area engineer is currently open. We do have an ag engineer, and an engineering technician, and also a soil scientist. So all of these positions provide technical assistance to the residents of East Tennessee. So who is eligible for technical assistance? Farmers, ranchers, local governments, citizen group, recreation groups, tribal governments, professional consultants, state and federal agencies, others interested in conserving natural resources. So basically, if you have a problem caused by natural resources, it can be a group, but everyone has technical assistance available to them. This technical assistance is it doesn't cost anyone anything. It's just a phone call to the office and we set up a meeting and then we come out and see if we can help. So here are the benefits. We want people to improve their private lands if they want to. If, like I said earlier, if you've got a problem, we'll come out and hopefully give you some solutions if we can, and then kind of go from there. You can implement it or you can choose not to. It's up to you. We're set up mainly here in at least East Tennessee. One of our main goals is to improve water quality and quantity. We want to improve the wildlife habitat and fish habitat. And you can see this list as it just goes on. We develop and apply sustainable agriculture systems. So if you're just getting started in agriculture, we're a decent place to start. Us and UT Extension, we work together with one another in helping you guys reach your goals. So financial assistance, we do offer cost share or incentives to do some of the stuff that we suggest. We have 3 main programs. We have EQIP, the Environmental Qualities Incentives Program. It's probably the most popular in Bradley and Polk County. We have CSP, which is the Conservation Stewardship Program. We also administer or assist in administering a TDA program, which is the Agricultural Resource and Conservation Fund. Okay, EQIP. It's a voluntary program. All of our programs here at the office are voluntary. So we are not a regulatory agency whatsoever. I do not have a ticket book to come out and write citations or anything like that. When you invite NRCS out to your property, it's because we come out because we're invited. Okay, we are not regulatory. This program focuses on private lands. So if you have an interest in agriculture, basically you could qualify. And you can use this program to help with environmental regulations. So for example, if TDEC came in and told you to do something, then you could contact our office and we could help possibly cost share on the practices that TDEC is wanting you to install. All right, eligibility for the EQIP program. You need to be an agriculture producer. So if you've got production lands, pasture, hayland, or even if you're just growing small vegetables in your backyard, you do qualify. You need to control the land that we will write a contract on. And then your AGI, your adjusted gross income, needs to be less than $900,000 in each of the past 3 years. So you're under 900,000 for each of the past 3 years. So 900,000, 900,000, 900,000, you're under that each of the 3 years. You must be in compliance with the highly erodible land and wetland conservation requirements. So basically what that means is that if you have a farm and you are cropping the ground, that you are following a conservation plan, which basically tells how much soil loss that you can have to participate. I know that sounds like a lot, but just visit your local office and they'll be able to determine if you need one or whether you do not. And within this contract, or when you're applying for financial assistance, we need to be addressing a resource concern. Soil erosion is a resource concern. Plant health is a resource concern. We have a whole list of resource concerns that we can address, but the contract or the cost share application must be addressing one of those. All right, how EQIP works. Basically, you contact the office. Like I said before, we're not regulatory. We're strictly a voluntary source of information for you. So you express interest in the program, and then at that point, most of the time, I have my producers sign an application. When you sign the application, it obligates the producer to nothing. It basically gets your name on the list. Also, that application is not guaranteed to get funded. I'll say that up front. Just because you sign an application doesn't mean funding will happen. It just gets your name on the list, and then you will go through a ranking process. But once the application is signed, you schedule a visit with your office. So with the district conservationist, some offices have technicians, but they'll come out to your farm and you guys just go over your farm and evaluate your farm. Definitely express your interest to the field office. And I would think most of the field offices will take your desires and take your desires in when writing the plan and meeting your goals. So right there, the next bullet point, both NRCS and landowner agree on a plan that is written. Whether it's watering tanks, fencing creeks out, both agree, because that just, a good partnership is where it starts. Everything goes smoothly when you can get along with everything. So you go through a ranking period. All of our contracts here in Tennessee are ranked with one another. It basically uses it uses the watersheds to assign ranking points, and also what practices you're doing. Some practices here in Tennessee may rank higher than other practices. So once the ranking process is over, then funding can occur. And all the way up until you sign the contract, you are not obligated to anything. So just because you go through the whole process, you're not obligated until you sign your name next to dollar figures. That's what I tell my producers, because I want them to be comfortable signing a contract with the federal government before. I want them just to feel comfortable before committing to it. All right, payments. Payments are made once the practices are completed. So as you complete practices inside your contract, so let's say that you've got a fence. Once you build this stretch of fence, NRCS can pay for it. Most of the time, the most popular practices up here in Tennessee are fence, watering tanks, heavy use areas, a well, and pipeline. So once each one of those items is completed, NRCS can make payments on it. So you're not having to come up out of pocket for the entire installation of a project. So let's just say project's $20,000. Well, as you complete stuff, NRCS will reimburse you. The contract, this is important right here, the EQIP contract must be written and approved before any commencement of a practice, of a conservation practice. So if you build a fence and then you go into your NRCS office and ask for reimbursement, it's probably not going to happen. The contract needs to be written and signed by the producer before the fence is built. It also helps if you're in the middle of constructing something, fence, pipeline, watering facility, anything within RCS, that you get the district conservationist or any of the staff out in the field while you're building it. Because what you don't want to happen is build the fence or install the pipeline and then it does not meet the requirements that NRCS requires. Extremely important, probably the most important thing is to get them out there while you're doing it, so that if you're doing anything wrong, it can be fixed before you're completed. That way no one gets upset at the end. I know I don't like telling people to go back and fix stuff. That's just the worst part of my job. So I prefer to come out while it's going on and fix any practices or any problems before it's completed. All right, here are some of the common practices in East Tennessee, especially in Bradley and Polk County. We have what we call conservation activity plans. These are plans that are written and delivered to you, the producer or landowner, with these goals in mind. So if you need a comprehensive nutrient management plan, we cost share for that. We cost share for a forest management plan. A grazing management plan, most of the time we handle here in the office. We have programs where we can put in your livestock numbers and just develop you a rotational grazing plan. A prescribed burning plan, we can assist in cost sharing for that. Irrigation management plan, so if you've got a vineyard or an orchard or something like that and you're interested in irrigation, we may be able to help you out there. An energy management plan, extremely popular up here in Bradley and Polk County because we have a lot of poultry houses. That's a plan that we will pay, NRCS pays to have written. A drainage water management plan, a pollinator habitat plan, and an IPM resistant weed plan. And all those are not actually practices. That's where NRCS is paying an outside consultant to write you a plan for your property. All right, here are some of the common practices that I mentioned before. Fence, so we have cross fencing and access control fencing. The pictures right there are a little far off, but that is a cross fence running through that field, and then another cross fence there on the right. So the types of fencing that we will cost share on, at least here in Bradley and Polk County: barbed wire, high tensile, woven wire. Just about any fence can be approved. We just have to send it to the state office if you've got some unique idea for fencing. We just got to get it approved. Sometimes they'll approve stuff, and then sometimes they will not. Here are some of the watering facilities that we install. Frost-free. Most of these tanks, all the tanks that you see right here are frost-free. I will not call them freeze-proof, but they are extremely close to being freeze-proof system. These tanks right here, they kind of operate just like a toilet, like in your house. They are automatic, so you're not having to go out there and water your cattle or your livestock every day. They have a float system in it. Once the cattle or livestock drinks, the float goes down, it kicks the water on, the water fills it up. You'll see the one on the left, upper left, that is a tank that is centered within probably 3 or 4 pastures. The landowner has set up some gates right there, swinging one way or another, depending on what field the watering tank or the livestock are in, so he can rotate his cows through each pasture and only have one watering spot. The watering tank there on the bottom, that is dividing 2 pastures, as you can see, one watering spot. Here's another thing that we do a lot of up here in Bradley County, in poultry, or in Polk County as well, is a litter sheds for poultry farms. This is where all the litter will go when they go to clean out their chicken houses. All right, payment rates. How much do we pay for the items? So we have 2 payment rates. We have a historically underserved payment rate, and then basically everyone else who does not qualify from above. So our historically underserved, that would be our beginning farmers, our minority, and then income less than $25,100 in Bradley and Polk County. So this right here is an example from, I believe, 2019. As you can see, these are all fence items. So I told you there's a lot of different fences that we can pay for. So each one, we can just take, for example, this top one, exclusion electric. $1.88. But if you're a historically underserved person, we will pay $2.26 a foot. This is a flat rate. So if it costs you $5 a foot to build this fence, we will pay $1.88. If it costs $1 to build the fence, we will pay $1.88. But you will be given some guidelines on how to build the fence. All right, TDA payments. So this is the state program. The state will pay 85% or 75% based off your receipt. So that 85 or 75 is determined by what watershed you are in. If it's in what we call a 303D watershed, which is an impaired watershed, which basically means the creeks in that area are not supporting all the life that they're supposed to. That's what they determine as 303D list. And so if you're in one of those watershed, you will actually get paid 85% of your receipt. A maximum in this program is set, not to exceed. So I got a quick example right here. 1,000 foot of fence at $2.39 a foot is what we say it should, 100% of it should cost. So the state, so you could turn in receipts. If you turned in exactly $2,390 worth of receipts, you would get paid 85%. Excuse me, which is $2,031.50. Or for example, if you turned in $3,000 in receipts, $3,000 worth of receipts, 85% of that is $2,550. But because we are capped up here at this $2.39 at 100%, we are still capped at this $2,031.50. All right, so this is just a quick example of a farm here in Bradley County. There is a creek on the north side of this property. You can kind of see it running east to west right there, and there's also a pond. So some of the options that we ran through with this producer was to kind of keep it simple. I told him that if he would fence his pond off from his livestock, we could do a watering tank and a well. Another option was to fence the creek off, and we offered him the same thing, a well and a watering tank. So, but this is what we ended up with. This producer was ready to go like full rotational grazing. Excuse me. The producer chose to fence the creek off. He chose to fence his pond off. And then we decided he wanted some cross fencing to establish 5 pastures. Before we started out there, this was just one large open area. So the cows would just kind of meander, basically grazing what they wanted to graze and then leaving the rest. So we all know if you let people, or if you let livestock and people eat what they want to eat, they're going to eat what they desire. And what they desire is the fescue up here. And then and then the weeds will take over because they'll end up out competing the fescue. So with this one, with this plan, we decided to cross fence. We put in a well, and then we did 1, 2, 3 watering tanks, which ends up, so 3 watering tanks, we established 5 pastures with only 3. All right, the CSP program. The CSP program is the largest conservation program in the U.S. There's currently more than 70 million acres enrolled. The reason why it is the largest conservation program is because when a producer signs up for CSP, it encompasses their entire operation. So their entire farm is signed up in the program. Whereas EQIP, it's basically just a little field here and a field there. But CSP is the entire farm. Basically, it's a management program. So where in EQIP, we were installing individual practices like watering tanks, fences, and stuff like that. This is paying you for the management of your farm, the management of your pastures, the management of your crop fields. If you're doing good rotational grazing, that is part of management. That's actually not a practice. It's just management, going out there, looking at your pasture fields and moving your livestock as you need to. It's a 5-year contract. So I stress to my producers who sign up for this, make sure you're going to have this land that you're signing up for 5 years, that you have no desires to sell it and let it become a neighborhood, or you don't want to sell it to your neighbor. You need to have control of it for 5 years, and you need to be, I know things can arise and you don't know what things are going to come up. But if you're confident that this pasture field is going to stay a pasture, then yeah, sign it up if you want. But if you think you may change it from a crop field to a pasture, or pasture to crop, that could cause some problems as well. Once we establish the land as pasture or crop for 5 years, it needs to stay in that. The minimum payment for this program is $1,500 a year. All right, so here are some of it. This is the same farm that was mentioned earlier. These are some of the enhancements that you can do out on this farm. Forage stockpiling. So basically, the producer would receive a higher CSP payment if he picked out one of these fields and said, okay, I'm not going to graze this for 120 days. He just sat there and let the grass grow for 120 days before grazing it. Interseeding clover, excuse me. So basically, the producers just got to seed clover over these pastures, and that would increase his CSP payment. Intensive rotational grazing. So we've already set up under EQIP, we set up a rotational grazing system with all these cross fences. So now the producer can come in with some polywire and really start to divide up these pastures if he wanted to. So with that, that's another enhancement that will increase that CSP payment. And then rotating mineral and feeding areas. Most cattle producers will feed mineral out in their pasture. So basically just moving that area around enough to where you're not creating a mud hole and leaving that mineral feeder in the same location from the start of winter to the end of winter, because you will create a mud hole just by rotating the mineral and feeding areas. You're not creating the mud holes, and then that too will increase your CSP payment. So all of this sounds extremely good, but what's the catch? And just 3 simple words: practice lifespan. So all of these practices have a lifespan. If something were to happen, especially if the contract is fairly new, and you install something and you end up having to sell the farm, if the new landowner agrees to maintain everything, then all is good. But if it's something to where they start ripping stuff out and they don't want to take over, or let's just say you're still the landowner and you rip out a watering tank, we can, and RCS can go back and collect liquidated damages, but they would prorate whatever that practice is with the lifespan. So for a watering facility, I believe it's 10 years. So NRCS paid $2,000, and NRCS says it should have lasted 10 years, and it only lasted 2. So instead of paying the full $2,000 or $3,000 that I just mentioned back, they would prorate it, and then you would be required to pay a prorated amount back. But other than that, the practice lifespan, like I said, it all starts at the beginning, having something that you want to do and meeting with your district conservationist or the staff there in the office, and everyone being on the same page. Everything kind of goes smoothly. So with that is my contact information for Bradley and Polk. And at least for the offices in Tennessee, there are local contacts. Every district conservationist that I know of, we all prefer to make field visits, so no one should turn you down for a field visit. So with that, Seth, that is what I have.
All right, thank you very much, Chase. Really appreciate you taking the time to come in and do this presentation for us. I know I learned a good bit over the presentation, and hopefully all of you at home or wherever it is that you're watching from learned a good bit as well. So please do stay tuned for future virtual presentations that the Southeast Tennessee Resource Conservation and Development Council will be putting on. And hopefully, once we get past all this COVID mess, we can do some in-person meetings as well. So thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions about the NRCS, you saw Chase's contact info up on the screen. You also have, if you're here watching, you are here on our Facebook page, which has our contact info for the Southeast Tennessee Resource Conservation and Development Council. So thank you again for joining us, and hope you have a good day.